The most powerful people in history all shared one deadly skill that weak people never master. They knew when not to respond. Right now, as you're watching this, someone somewhere is losing a negotiation because they spoke too fast. Someone is destroying a relationship because they reacted in anger. Someone is making a career-ending mistake because they couldn't sit with discomfort for just 5 more minutes. Here's what nobody tells you about power. It's not about having the loudest voice or the quickest comeback. Real power lives in the pause. When someone pushes your buttons, your first instinct is to push back immediately. That instinct is exactly what's keeping you powerless. Every time you react instantly, you're handing over control to whoever triggered you. You become predictable. You become manageable. You become weak. Machiavelli understood something that most people never figure out. The person who controls the timing controls the outcome. Think about the last time someone said something that made your blood boil. What did you do? If you're like most people, you fired back within seconds. You defended yourself. You explained your position. You tried to win the argument right there in that moment, and in doing so, you lost before you even started. The world's most successful leaders, negotiators, and strategists all use delayed response as their secret weapon. They've learned that the gap between stimulus and response is where all your power lives. When you stretch that gap, something magical happens. You see options you couldn't see before. You notice weaknesses in your opponent that panic would have hidden. You discover that most provocations aren't even worth responding to at all. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to weaponize strategic patience. You'll learn why your immediate reactions are sabotaging your success and how a simple shift in timing can transform every interaction you have. By the end of this video, you'll never look at conflict, negotiation, or even casual conversations the same way again. Number 1. The emotional arbitrage strategy. There's a hidden market most people don't even know exists. While everyone else is buying high and selling low, a select few are making massive profits from this invisible exchange. This market doesn't trade stocks or crypto. It trades something far more valuable: human emotions. Every single day, people around you are having emotional breakdowns that create golden opportunities for those who know how to spot them. When your boss explodes in a meeting, when your spouse starts a heated argument, when that difficult client begins making unreasonable demands, they're essentially putting their decision-making power up for auction. And most people? They jump right into the bidding war. But here's what the truly powerful understand. When someone else is at their emotional peak, that's when you should be at your emotional valley. Think about the stock market for a second. Smart investors buy when everyone else is panicking and sell when everyone else is euphoric. The exact same principle applies to human interactions. Your coworker sends you an angry email full of accusations. Your first instinct is to fire back immediately with your own emotional response. But what if I told you that this moment of their peak irrationality is actually your biggest opportunity to gain massive leverage over the entire situation? What if their anger is actually a gift that most people are too reactive to unwrap? This is what I call emotional arbitrage. While they're operating from a place of pure emotion, making decisions they'll regret tomorrow, you're positioned in the rational zone where clear thinking lives. The gap between their emotional chaos and your calm calculation becomes your profit margin. When someone is angry, they reveal information they normally keep hidden. They show you their insecurities, their pressure points, their real priorities. They make demands they can't actually enforce. They threaten consequences they can't actually deliver. They essentially hand you a detailed map of their weaknesses while you give them nothing in return. But here's the crucial part. Most people waste this advantage by matching their energy level. The moment you get emotional too, you've destroyed your arbitrage opportunity. You've leveled the playing field when you could have dominated it. Smart emotional arbitrage means you respond from a completely different emotional altitude. They're operating from the basement of human psychology. You're responding from the penthouse. The view is completely different up there. You can see solutions they can't see. You can spot opportunities they're blind to. You can make moves they never saw coming. Think about the most powerful people you know. They don't get into Twitter arguments. They don't respond to every criticism. They don't defend themselves against every accusation. They pick their battles with surgical precision. When they do engage, it's devastating because all their energy is focused on that one moment. Here's the practical application. Start categorizing every provocation that comes your way. Is this a weak gazelle that will waste your energy, or is this the one worth your full attention? Most conflicts are just weak gazelles, people testing your boundaries, seeking attention, or acting out their own insecurities. These aren't hunting opportunities. They're distractions. The real opportunities come when someone powerful challenges you, when a genuine threat emerges, or when engaging will actually advance your goals. These are the moments when you unleash everything you've been conserving. While others have been exhausting themselves on meaningless battles, you've been storing up energy for the one that actually matters. Your silence isn't weakness. Your delayed response isn't avoidance. You're not being passive. You're being a predator. You're waiting for the right moment to strike with maximum impact while everyone else is wasting their energy on nothing. The second principle of delayed response power is about to transform how you choose your battles. Strategy number 2 out of 5 is the predator's patience principle. You're about to learn how to stop chasing every gazelle and start hunting like the apex predator you were meant to be. Number 3. The information gravity. Well, have you ever noticed what happens when you stop talking in the middle of a conversation? Something strange occurs. The other person starts filling the silence. They add details they weren't planning to share. They explain things they didn't need to explain. They reveal information they probably should have kept to themselves. This isn't coincidence. This is psychology working in your favor. Human beings are hardwired to be uncomfortable with silence. We're social creatures who interpret quiet as a signal that something is wrong. When you create silence by not responding immediately, you're essentially creating a psychological vacuum that the other person feels compelled to fill. Most people see silence as empty space, but silence is actually the most information-rich environment you can create. When you don't respond right away, you become like a black hole in space, pulling everything around you into your gravitational field. Information, emotions, true intentions, hidden agendas. All of it gets sucked into the void you've created with your strategic quiet. Think about the last time you were in a negotiation or difficult conversation. What happened when you stayed silent after the other person made their offer or stated their position? If you're like most people, you probably jumped in immediately with your response. But what if you had just waited? What if you had let that silence hang in the air for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, a full minute? Here's what you missed. In those moments of silence, they would have started talking again. They would have sweetened their offer. They would have explained their reasoning. They would have revealed the real deadline they're working with or the pressure they're under. They would have given you ammunition you could use later in the conversation. Your immediate response actually protects them from having to reveal more. When you fill the silence quickly, you're doing them a favor. You're letting them off the hook. You're allowing them to keep their cards hidden while you show yours. This principle works in every type of interaction. When someone accuses you of something, instead of immediately defending yourself, try staying quiet. Watch what happens. They'll start adding details to their accusation. They'll reveal how they really feel about the situation. They'll show you whether they're fishing for information or if they actually have evidence. When someone makes you an offer that seems too low, don't counter immediately. Let the silence do the work. They'll start justifying why they made that offer. They'll reveal their budget constraints. They'll tell you about their decision-making process. They might even improve their offer without you saying a word. The information gravity well works because people interpret your silence as judgment. They think you're not impressed with what they've said. They think you're considering walking away. They think they need to add more value to win you over. And they're usually right. But here's the crucial part. You're not just collecting random information. You're gathering strategic intelligence that changes the entire dynamic of your interaction. When someone reveals they're under time pressure, you know you have leverage. When they show you their emotional triggers, you know what buttons not to push. When they expose their real priorities, you know what they'll sacrifice to protect what matters most. Your delayed response transforms you from someone who reacts to information into someone who extracts information. Instead of being the person who answers questions, you become the person who causes others to answer questions they didn't know you were asking. The third principle of delayed response power is about to make you a master of strategic intelligence gathering. Strategy number 3 out of 5 is the information gravity well. You're about to learn how to use silence as your most powerful tool for uncovering the truth that people never meant to tell you. Number 4, the temporal leverage effect. Time is the only resource that truly can't be manufactured, borrowed, or stolen. Everyone gets the same 24 hours, but most people treat time like it's working against them. They rush their responses, make quick decisions, and act like every moment of delay costs them power. They have it completely backwards. What if I told you that time isn't your enemy in difficult situations? What if every hour you delay responding actually increases your leverage while decreasing theirs? What if the passage of time itself becomes your most powerful negotiating tool? Think about compound interest for a moment. You invest money, and over time it grows without you doing anything. The longer you leave it alone, the more powerful it becomes. Your delayed responses work exactly the same way. Every hour you wait compounds your advantage while their position loses value. Here's why this happens. When someone sends you an angry email, makes an unreasonable demand, or tries to pressure you into a quick decision, they're operating from a place of emotional urgency. They want resolution now. They want your reaction now. They want you to engage with their timeline, not your own. But urgency is almost always artificial. The deadline they've given you is probably flexible. The consequences they've threatened probably won't materialize. The pressure they're applying is designed to make you act before you've had time to think clearly. They need you to respond quickly because a delayed response exposes the weakness in their position. While you're taking time to consider your options, they're losing sleep wondering what you're planning. While you're researching better alternatives, they're getting more desperate for your response. While you're building a stronger position, they're second-guessing their original approach. This creates what I call temporal leverage. Time becomes your ally and their enemy. Every day that passes without your response makes them more flexible, more willing to compromise, more likely to improve their offer. They start imagining worst-case scenarios. They begin questioning whether their original position was reasonable. They wonder if you're talking to their competitors or considering other options. Your delayed response forces them to live with uncertainty while you operate from a place of calm analysis. Uncertainty is expensive. It causes people to make poor decisions. It makes them more willing to accept less favorable terms just to end the discomfort of not knowing what you're thinking. The beauty of temporal leverage is that it works even when you're not actively doing anything. You don't need to be researching alternatives or building a stronger case. The mere passage of time creates pressure on their side while relieving pressure on yours. They're paying interest on their impatience while you're earning interest on your restraint. This principle transforms every negotiation, conflict, and difficult conversation you'll ever have. When someone tries to rush you into a decision, that's exactly when you should slow down. When they claim something is urgent, that's your signal to take more time. When they set artificial deadlines, that's when you should create your own timeline. Your delayed response isn't procrastination. It's not avoidance. It's not being difficult for the sake of being difficult. You're using time as a strategic weapon. Every hour you wait is an hour for their position to weaken and your options to improve. Most people are afraid that delaying will cost them opportunities. But the opposite is true. Rushing into responses costs you opportunities. It forces you to accept the first option presented instead of waiting for better ones to emerge. It makes you reactive instead of strategic. It turns you into someone who accepts terms instead of someone who sets them. The fourth principle of delayed response power is about to revolutionize how you think about timing in every important interaction. Strategy number 4 out of 5 is the temporal leverage effect. You're about to discover how to make time your most valuable ally while turning it into your opponent's greatest source of pressure. Number 5, the response hierarchy hack. Your attention is under constant attack. Every notification, comment, message, and provocation is competing for the same finite resource, your mental energy. Most people treat every demand on their attention as equally important. They respond to everything with the same level of engagement. This is why they are constantly exhausted and never seem to make real progress on what actually matters. But what if there was a way to filter out the noise and focus only on what deserves your full power? What if you could create a system that automatically sorts every interaction into categories based on strategic importance? What if you could stop being a reactive responder and become a strategic selector? This is where most people get it wrong. They think every provocation deserves a response. Every criticism needs to be addressed. Every challenge must be met with equal force. They're operating without any filtering system, which means they're essentially responding to life at random. No wonder they feel overwhelmed and powerless. Here's the game-changing realization. Not every situation deserves the same level of your energy. In fact, most situations don't deserve any of your energy at all. The people who seem to have unlimited power aren't actually more powerful than you. They're just more selective about where they invest their power. Think about your smartphone for a moment. It doesn't treat every notification the same way. Some apps can interrupt you anytime. Others can only notify you during certain hours. Some are completely silenced. Your phone has a hierarchy system that filters incoming demands on your attention. Your responses need the same type of filtering system. Here's how this works in practice. 70% of the provocations, criticisms, and challenges that come your way should be completely ignored. Not delayed, not deflected, ignored. These are usually attention-seeking behaviors, tests of your boundaries, or attempts to drag you into meaningless conflicts. People complaining about trivial things, social media arguments, gossip and drama, criticism from people whose opinions don't actually affect your life. 20% should be deflected with minimal energy investment. A brief acknowledgement, a simple redirect, a polite but firm boundary. These are situations where some response is necessary for social or professional reasons, but full engagement would be a waste of your power. Minor disagreements with colleagues, unreasonable requests from acquaintances, attempts to involve you in other people's problems. Only 10% of what comes your way deserves your full engagement. These are the situations that actually matter for your goals, relationships, and future. Challenges from people who can actually impact your life. Opportunities disguised as conflicts. Moments where your response will set important precedents for how others treat you. This hierarchy system transforms you from someone who reacts to everything into someone who strategically selects what deserves their attention. Instead of spreading your energy across 100 meaningless interactions, You concentrated on the few that actually count. The magic happens when people realize you're operating from this selective framework. They start to understand that getting your full attention is rare and valuable. They begin to think twice before bringing trivial issues to you. They save their interactions with you for things that actually matter. Your time becomes more respected because you've demonstrated that it's not freely available to everyone, for everything. Your delayed response isn't just about timing, it's about filtering. You're not delaying because you don't know what to say. You're delaying because you're determining whether the situation deserves any response at all. Most of the time, silence is the most powerful response because it communicates that the provocation didn't meet your threshold for engagement. This creates a reputation effect that compounds over time. People start to see you as someone who can't be baited into meaningless conflicts, someone who doesn't get distracted by drama, someone who focuses their energy on what actually matters. This reputation becomes a protective barrier that filters out most of the noise before it even reaches you. The fifth and final principle of delayed response power is about to transform you from a reactive person into a strategic selector. Strategy number 5 out of 5 is the response hierarchy hack. You're about to learn how to create a filtering system that ensures you only invest your energy where maximum impact is guaranteed. These 5 strategies don't just change how you respond to difficult situations. They change how difficult situations respond to you. When you master emotional arbitrage, predator patience, information extraction, temporal leverage, and strategic filtering, something profound shifts in every relationship and interaction you have. People stop testing your boundaries because they know you won't react predictably. They stop trying to rush you into decisions because they understand you operate on your own timeline. They start bringing you their real problems instead of their manufactured drama because they know you only engage with what actually matters. Your power isn't in having the perfect comeback or the fastest response. Your power is in the pause. In that space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond, you'll find every opportunity you've been missing. The world is full of people reacting immediately to everything. Stand out by being the one who responds strategically to what actually counts. Starting today, let your delayed responses become your signature move. Let your strategic silence become your secret weapon. Let your selective engagement become your path to real influence. The most powerful response you can give to most situations is the response you choose not to give at all. The next video the algorithm chose for you isn't random. It's your next tactical upgrade. Click it now and continue your silent ascent.